this moment is not a preparation for the moment after. This moment is where everything is at. You live a life of you matter in an absolute way, says the Rebbe. Each and every part, because you are not a means to an end. Therefore, each part of your life is not a means to an end. It's the end goal. And therefore, being present to each and every moment of our life is kechadashim. That's like we are bikurim. Our whole being is bikurim. If you learn and review a Maimar in Hasidus or a Sikha, each time you discover new fountains. So again, good evening. Tonight is the eve of the 16th Tes Zayin of Elul. Today was Tes Vav Elul, and what to begin with? I wanted to begin with saying Mazel Tov to Hasidah. And in addition to Refuah Shleima, that you should have a complete recovery, that your mouth should be a peh mefik margalios, that you should be able to continue to share your light with others, with health and with inspiration, bedibur as well, and so too in terms of being able to eat and function with your mouth, and it should do whatever you need to want to do, and it should be pain-free and complete recovery. I also want to bless you with tremendous akara satov for your birthday. And it's a special birthday, Shishim LeZikna, and the Alter Rebbe teaches us that Zikna is wisdom, Ezehu Zaken Ze Shekana Chochma, and I recommend for you to learn the short Maimar of in Parshas Kedoshim on this pasuk, Ezehu Zaken Ze Shekana Chochma. It's a short Maimar, like only one paragraph, I think, at the end of Parshas Kedoshim in the Likutei Torah, and the tradition is that when you learn this Maimar, it helps your memory, and especially the memory of Torah. So it's good to learn. It's a short Maimar. If any questions, I'm here. So
what's the Maimar?
This is the Maimar V'adarta Pnei Zaken in the end of Parshas Kedoshim in the Likutei Torah.
Yeah, we learned it together, right?
Rebbe. Excuse me?
We learned it with you.
I think we did. But everyone, it's good, many people learn it Baal Peh. The recommendation is to learn it Baal Peh, and that helps your memory. To learn it by heart. So it's not long. So good luck to all of us doing that. But it has been such a schus to learn with you, Hasidah, for all these years, that you kept this group going with such a vision of and dedication to the light of Tanya that is really mechazik the Eitan Shebanefesh, the Otiyos Tanya, Otiyos Oisios Eitan Shebanefesh, that you helped all of us to strengthen and to fortify and to bring out and to reveal the Eitan Shebanefesh, the Yechida Shebanefesh, and this is what the Tanya is meant to do. And we have been doing it for many, many years, Baruch Hashem. So we can shine through these last moments of Galus. And your name is Hasidah, which is in Gematria Pei Zayin, which is Paz, which is the shine of gold, the glittering of gold. And your light should shine. So all the way to seeing the big smile from the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach, B'Geula Amitis V'Ashleima. And it should be with good health, and with Parnasa Barchava, and with the Menuchas HaNefesh, and lots of Simcha, and many, many years together with your husband, and lots of nachas from your children and your grandchildren. Ad Sof Kol Hadoros. And it should continue to be inspiration for this precious and holy group of Tanya for the sake of the Geula. And I can't skip the fact that it was the Yasdus today of Yeshiva Stom Chet Mimim, because in a way I have the chutzpah to consider us as kind of an annex of Yeshiva Stom Chet Mimim, following the horas of the Rebbe to learn what the Mimim learn, whether it's Tanya, or we have different shiurim, Samach Vav, or Sha'ar HaYichud, or this or that. Everyone has their shiurim, and we are all either bringing up Tmimim, or we are ourselves Tmimos, or we are the daughters of Tmimim. Whatever we are connected to this amazing yeshiva that Rebbe Rashab established today, 27 years ago. It was Sunday, Parshas Kisavoy, and really the Rebbe shared with us that it was really the Friedrich Rebbe. I'm so happy I see your face. I like to see people's face. It makes a big difference for me. Thank you. In any case, the Friedrich Rebbe shared with the Rebbe Shlita that it was really his idea. It was the previous Rebbe's idea to open this yeshiva. And he brought it up to his father when his father was the Rebbe. And they had a discussion. Good to see you. Thank you. And you have a discussion. The previous Rebbe wanted it, and the Rebbe Rashab wasn't his idea, so to speak. I don't know, I'm making it up. But bottom line, they had a discussion, and after the Rebbe calls it Dinu Dvarim, a discussion between the previous Rebbe and the Rebbe Rashab. The Rebbe Rashab went to the Ohel in Lubavitch. The Ohel means where the Tzemach Tzedek, his grandfather, and the Rebbe Maharash, his father, are. And when he came back from the Ohel, he told the previous Rebbe, I'm accepting your suggestion. And then Tom Chet Mimim was established on Sunday. In the wedding feast or the wedding dinner, Seuda of the previous Rebbe, when the Rebbe Rashab gathered at 2 p.m., 50 Rabbanim and the elderly people from the community, the people who came to the wedding, and the rich people, established people, and he made a meeting, and he said that he decided to establish a yeshiva in which Nigle and Hasidus will be studied, and Nigle will be studied in such a way that there will be an awareness that it has Pnimius, Hasidus in it, and Hasidus should be studied, how shall I say it, the way we learn Nigle. The Asugius Hasidus, and how much more so the Rebbe Rashab, the Rambam of Torah Hasidus. So then they got together. At first, he picked 8 Talmidim and told the Reb Shmuel Gronem Esterman, the Mashpia from Zembin, I think. He was a great Mashpia. To be their Mashpia in Hasidus, to teach them Hasidus. So they began actually learning on Chai Elul. The yeshiva was established Tesvav Elul, Sunday. Chai Elul, this year is Shabbos. Chai Elul, they began to learn. And they learned first in Rostov, and then they moved to Zembin, and for a whole year they were there. And then during that year, another 10 Talmidim were added. And then on Simchas Torah, after a year and a month and a week, the yeshiva didn't have a name for a whole year. After a year and more, on Simchas Torah, on the 7th Akafa, when the Rebbe Rashab explained the meanings of the Akafos, so much more can be said, I'm sure. you know, תומך תמימי, מושיע נא, and תקיף וחזק, I don't remember all the terminologies there in the Akafos. The Rebbe stated at the end that the name of the yeshiva will be Tomchet Mimim because it's a Torah Tmima, it's a perfect Torah that unites the Nigla and the Pnimius and the Nistar. And the people, the students who learn the Torah of Tomchet Mimim and follow and conduct themselves in the spirit of this yeshiva of Tomchet Mimim are called Tmimim. I'm sure the Kehol Fabringen can be done about it, but I just wanted to mention it. And now we're going to go to Tanya, Bezras Hashem, and then as time will allow, we are going to discuss the Parsha and Var Malchus, maybe Netivos Shalom if there'll be time. Wonderful essays all over. Baruch Hashem. So we are on page Ein Gimel, which is 145 in Perek Nun Beis, 52, at the bottom of the page, mamash the last line. והסלבשוסם במלכוס דבריאה נבראו הנשמות והמלאכים שבבריאה. But it has been a long time since we learned, and therefore I decided, with God's help, to give a chazara of what we have been learning so far in Perek Nun Beis. And I am taking my time. We could rush and finish Tanya and make a party and a Verbringen zu gesund and be very happy and proud that we finished the Tanya. But the last two prakim that sometimes people kind of skip because they don't have patience, or they do have patience, or it's too deep, or too high, or too much to the right, or too much to the left. But I feel that and think that we should take the time to learn these prakim. Why? Because the Alter Rebbe explains in the Tanya that it's a mitzvah rama v'nisa'a me'od. It's a very exalted and high mitzvah to learn Seder Ishtalshelus, to learn about the order of creation and the worlds that were created in their order, and to understand how the divine light and the divine energy flows through this system of Seder Ishtalshelus. It's a mitzvah Rama v'nisa'a, the Alter Rebbe calls it in Tanya. And I am not his interpreter, but you see that the more you learn, and Bezrat Hashem you will see it in learning this perek thoroughly, the more you learn about how the worlds are structured all the way down to our reality, to our world, and not just in a general way, in a particular way, and knowing intimately how the divine flow goes through the worlds and reaches all the way to us and becomes our experience, knowing it in an intimate way, in a particular way, makes your relationship with Hashem much more real. It makes your relationship with Hashem much more intimate. And therefore I feel that we should not rush. And since we have been not learning it for quite a while, I will review it quickly and get to where we are and continue B'ezras Hashem. So in the previous perek, I'm using, of course, the explanation of Reb Chaim Levi Yitzchak Alav Shalom Pnine Tanya, and the main nekudos here, and using sometimes my language so we can go fast and just get the main nekudos, the main points. So in the previous perek, in Perek Nun Aleph, 51, the Rebbe began to explain more the words of the Anuka in the Zohar. In Perek Lamed Hey, in the Tanya, brought there that the Anuka, the child that the Chachamim met in the Galil Ha'elyon, in Eretz HaKodesh, in Eretz Yisrael, he said that the Shechina Shora al Rosh Ha'adam, that the Shekhinah, the divine dwelling energy, the Shekhinah, dwells upon the head of a person. And in order for the Shekhinah, which acts like the flame of a candle, to keep burning and shining, there is a need for oil, like every candle. And since the body of the person is like the wick of the candle, and the light of the Shekhinah shines upon the wick milamayla, and we need shemen in order to keep feeding this flame, to keep feeding this Shekhinah, that the Shekhinah should dwell upon the head of a person, upon the consciousness of a person. And what is the shemen the Alter Rebbe is teaching us? Maisim toivim, the mitzvahs. Mitzvahs are like the oil that provides sustenance for the Shekhinah to keep being attached to the being of a human being who serves like a wick between and like a bridge between the oil and the light of the Shekhinah, the flame. Now, in our perek, the Rebbe is continuing to explain even more what is the meaning of this Shekhinah that we mentioned so many times. And as we learned already and repeat, she has many names, as we will learn soon. So what does it mean that the Shekhinah Shorah dwells upon a person? And why the Shekhinah dwells upon a person like the flame of a candle, davka through mitzvahs? For this sake, the Rebbe begins with a question. Anybody remembers what the question the Rebbe began with was? Extra bonus. Extra bonus. Okay, so that's why we are doing a chazara. The question was like this. What does it mean that the Shekhinah dwells somewhere? Beginning what we hear, that the Shekhinah dwells in Kodesh HaKodashim, in the Holy of Holies. Isn't Hashem present everywhere? Maleh kol haaretz kvodo, says the pasuk. The entire universe is filled with the glory of God. What does it mean that the Shekhinah dwells in Kodesh HaKodashim, or on the top of a head of a person? Hashem fills the whole universe, all the worlds, whether it's physical or spiritual. And the Zohar says, Les asar panui minei. There is no place vacant from him, from godliness. So how can you say that means that godliness is everywhere? So how can you say, or what does it mean that Hashem or godliness dwells in a specific place and not in another place? And only from there, like the Kodesh HaKodashim, the Holy Temple, it spreads to the rest of the world. Isn't it all over the world anyhow? To understand the answer for this question, the Rebbe brings a mashal. And the mashal is from Nefesh HaAdam. Anyone wants to bring the mashal? Don't rush to the microphone. The Nefesh HaAdam, the relationship between the soul and the body. That the Nefesh itself, the way it is authentically, is really present all over the body equally. You cannot say that the nefesh itself is more in the head of the person than in his feet. The person is alive the same all over. And the nefesh, the way she is, in Hebrew nefesh is female, the way it is all over the body equally. However, so what does it mean? We learned already that the nefesh shora dwells in the brain. So we learn that there are two aspects here. There is the way the nefesh authentically is, without any compromise or any restriction or any tzimtzumim, any concealments, and any filtering. And that nefesh, the nefesh itself, is present equally all over the body and makes it alive. But there is another aspect of the nefesh, which is not anymore the way the nefesh itself in its essence is, rather the aspect of the nefesh that is shayach to the guf, the aspect of the soul that is relevant to give energy and life force and vitality to the body. So that's not the nefesh itself anymore. It's an external aspect of the nefesh that is shayach, that is applicable to become a source of life of a body. And eventually a source of koyach, not only life and light, rather also koyachos to the different organs of the body, the way they are different from each other. There will be koyach of seeing in the eyes, and koyach of hearing in the ears, and koyach of walking in the legs, and so on. That comes from an external aspect, or radiation, or a light from the soul that is shayach, that is filtered already, and is a potential for the life force and the vitality and the powers of this specific body. When it comes to that aspect of the soul, that first dwells in the brain, b'moach of a person, and from the brain has the energy for all the different organs of the body in a potential way, in a hidden potential way, and then from the moach it extends like the rays from the sun to all limbs and all organs of the body, and each one gets already its own limited, specific, unique energy that makes it function in its unique way. And so too in the analog. This was the analogy, the Nefesh Adam. And so too in the analog, that Hashras HaShechina, when we say that the Shechina dwells, we are not talking about the Gilui of Atzmuso Yisbarach. We are not talking about the revelation of the essence of God, or godliness even, or Ein Sof. Because in terms of the essence of godliness, that is present equally in all worlds. Here, we are talking about the divine life force that is drawn and is relevant and applicable and shayach and limited and filtered to that it should be applied and invested in the worlds. Like the aspect of the soul that is shayach to the body dwells first in it goes under tzimtzum in the nefesh itself. That reveals, the outcome of that reveals first in the moach, in the brain, and from the brain, the brain disseminates and allocates each energy specifically to each organ, whatever it can contain and receive. So in this specific hamshacha from godliness, from Or Ein Sof, that is shayach to the worlds, there is a difference between Elyonim and Tachtonim. like in the Hamshacha, that is shayach to the guf. There is a difference between Elyonim and Tachtonim. There's a different life force and energy that the brain, receives, or the heart, and much less light from the brain goes to the feet, or to the toes, or to the heels. And so too in this specific Hamshacha from Or Ein Sof, that is shayach to worlds, to created worlds, emanated as well, to worlds altogether, there is a difference between Elyonim and Tachtonim. When you talk about the essence of godliness, that is present equally all the same. It's not revealed. And it's not also not divided to higher and lower. It's infinite and it's not filtered and it's not adjusted. Here we're talking about the Shekhinah. We're talking about the aspect of Elokus that is shayach to worlds. And in this, the Elyonim, the higher worlds, receive more, and the lower worlds receive less. What does it mean that the Elyonim receive more? It means that the lower the world is, the more levushim, the more garments are there that are covering up the presence of godliness. So the beings in each lower world feel less and less and less that the whole Metzius is the divine light and the divine power that creates them and animates them. The lower the world is, the less the recognition of it, and the less the experience of it, and the less the revelation of it. But the main point here is to explain that Hashras HaShechina, the dwelling of the Shechina, of Elokus, of godliness, that shayach to the world, and that means the presence of godliness in the worlds, is a presence that is shayach to be integrated. That means that it's possible for the worlds, and that includes us, to integrate the awareness and the experience of the presence of Hashem fully, until our connection with Him is so intimate that Hashem can be fully revealed, Dira B'Tachtonim. And one of the main principles of the divine desire of Dira B'Tachtonim is that the Tachtonim should make this Dira, this home for Hashem, and it should be connected to their reality. They shouldn't be overwhelmed by the presence of God. It should be part of our reality. That's what He wants. And that's why it's very important to understand here that the whole explanation of the Alter Rebbe here regarding the fact that where in each world the Shekhinah comes in first, it's in the Kodesh HaKodashim of each world, in the Holy of Holies, in the temple, in the Holy of Holies of the temple of each world. Soon we'll explain what it is. And so too, Torah and mitzvahs, as we will learn soon. And both the Kodesh HaKodashim in each world and the Torah and mitzvahs of each world, it's the source of life of all creations of that world. Because it is in that system of the Islavshus, of Malchus, of Atzilus, which is really the Shekhinah, which the entire aspect of godliness that is shaykh to worlds, that we cannot contain it the way it is. It's still way too unlimited and too high for each world to experience. And that's why it has to be invested into first, into the Kodesh HaKodashim, in the Chabad, in the head, like the light of the nefesh, of the soul, begins coming in the body from the brain, so too the Shekhinah begins to shine into each world through its brain. And what's the brain of each world? Is the Kodesh HaKodashim, is the Chabad of each world. And through this, all the worlds are becoming vessels to Elokus, to godliness. and they now becoming intimately shayach, to have a full relationship with godliness that should become part of their reality, real reality. It is done, as we learn in a moment, with Torah and mitzvahs, because Torah and mitzvahs are the garment through which we can receive from the Shekhinah. If we look at the Shekhinah directly, we would be blinded, God forbid. It's like I'm giving a physical mashal, like looking directly at the sun. We are not kalim to receive directly from the Shekhinah. If we were present to the revelation of what the Shekhinah is, even though the Shekhinah itself means only that aspect, shochen means to dwell in, of godliness that dwells in that is potentially shayach to dwell in the world. But this Shekhinah itself is a potential that if we looked at it, we would dissipate, would disappear and lose our existence in its presence. It's still too unlimited. The potential of how much godliness can dwell in worlds, that's still too high. And therefore the Shekhinah is to come in each world through its Kodesh HaKodashim. Like the Nefesh is too high and has to first come into the body through its brain. The Chabad. And eventually, even though it is through the Beis HaMikdash, the Kodesh HaKodashim, and the Torah mitzvah that the Shekhinah comes down, and the Shekhinah we already know now that it's not the essence of godliness, it's only the aspect of godliness that shayach to worlds. Nevertheless, eventually, through that Devar B'Tachtonim, beginning with the Shekhinah, godliness itself, the entire aspect of godliness, kolel godliness in relation to itself, not only to worlds, Atzmus of Ein Sof, will also dwell here, will join and be the essence of Devar B'Tachtonim. So the Rebbe goes on and explains that just as in the analogy, the hamshacha from the soul, from the nefesh, to the body, begins by shining first in the brain, and from the brain it being disseminated to each organ. Each one receives its own individual ray, individual life force, ha'ara. So too in the Nimshal, the Shekhinah, which is the Hamshacha from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the worlds, as we just said, shines first in the Chabad. The Kodesh HaKodashim in each world. There are many, 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 many uncountable worlds. And in Kodesh HaKodashim of each world, the Shekhinah is first present, and from there, the Chayus is spreading to each world, to the entire world. So the Ikar Agilui, Klalis Agilui of the Nefesh as a source of life for the body is in the Moach, in the Moichin. And then from the Moichin, every organ receives its own light and its own koyach. Why the Rebbe says here that all the organs each one receives their or and the chayus, or the or and koyach. So there are two inyanim here. The or and the chayus is one inyan, and then koyach. Each one is a koyach hara'iyah, koyach hashmiyah, the koyach of digestion, the koyach of walking, the koyach of talking. There are different powers that are connected and expressed through different organs and limbs of the body. So why the Rebbe uses here or and chayus, that's one thing, and then koyach. The or and chayus is the fact that each organ has to be alive, and functioning. That's the general light in each, and chayus in each organ. And then each organ also has to have its koyach, its energy that breaks down from just general life force, general chayus, to koyach, to individual power, the power to see, the power to talk, the power to walk, the power to digest, and so on and so forth. So too the Ikar Gilui Shekhinah begins in the Kodesh HaKodashim, which is the Chabad, Chochma Bina Das, that includes the Ratzon of Hashem. So just as the nefesh is first mislabeshes baguf in the brain, in the moichin of a person, in the analog, the same thing happens lemaila, above. That the Shechina is first mislabeshes in the Chochma and the Bina and the Das and the Ratzon of Hashem. What is the wisdom and the will of God? The wisdom and the Bina and Das of God, the Moichin of God, the brains of God, is the Torah. That's the Torah for us. There are Melubashim b'Torah, which means the Chochmas Hashem, the divine wisdom, is invested in Torah. The Torah is an expression of the divine wisdom. And the mitzvahs are an expression of the divine will. These are the moichim. Why the Shechina has to first mislabesh, invested, in order to come into each world and be disseminated to each part of each world, why it has to begin in the moichim, in a chochma, in bina, in das, in the brain, in Torah, and mitzvahs. The reason is, I'm trying to make it shorter, the reason is that the Shechina itself, as we said, is too high and too formless and too divine for the worlds to experience it directly. And therefore it needs a levush. It needs a levush that on a garment that will enable us, like when we want to look at the sun, we take a glass and we make it dark with some fire, we make it smoke on it and dark that you can look through it and see the sun. So too, Torah is the levush, the garment that enables us to receive from the Shechina. And to look at the Shechina and to makabel, to receive its godliness. It is done through Torah. And the Rebbe will explain that Torah, the reason why it is done through Torah, I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but the Rebbe will explain that it is so because Torah really originates in the Chochmah of Hashem, as we just learned, and it's coming from Chochmah of Hashem. Torah is the wisdom, Chochmah of God, and Chochmah is the highest sphere. We are talking about the Shechina. The Shechina is the lowest sphere, as we have learned. The Shechina is Malchus of Atzilus. The lowest sphere of Atzilus is the source of all life force of the created world, the Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya that we live in. It's all coming from Malchus of Atzilus. But Malchus of Atzilus is the lowest sphere. And Torah comes from Chochmah of Atzilus, the highest sphere. And the Chochmah of Atzilus is one with Or Ein Sof. So now we can see how come Torah can be a levush, a garment, to the Shechina, to divinity, to the divine, without losing itself in it. Like we cannot look directly at the Shechina, but the Torah can be a garment that can handle the Shechina without losing its metzius, without dissipating in the Shechina. Why? Because Shechina is Malchus of Atzilus, and Torah is Chochmah of Atzilus, way higher. And therefore Chochmah can tolerate for sure the light of Atzilus, of Malchus of Atzilus, and is now serving like a garment. That through the Torah we now can receive Kedusha, we can receive holiness, we can receive life from Malchus of Atzilus, from the Shechina. And this Malchus of Atzilus that is called Shechina has different names. It's called, as we learned, Alma Disgalia, the world of the revealed, the Kabbalah calls it. because Malchus of Atzilus is there like every Malchus. Malchus is about revealing. Malchus is compared to the mouth. You don't know what's going on within you until you speak. And so to Malchus, no matter how it is, it's meant for the lower, to be revealed to the lower reality, the lower worlds. And therefore it's called Alma Disgalia, the world of revelation. It's also called Mastronisa, as we learned, the queen, the mistress, the king, the queen, the queen of the king, because the nature of the wife, the nature of the queen is to reveal and to actualize the desire and the will of the king. It is also called Imatata. It's called the lower mother. Bina is called the higher mother. Malchus is called, the Shekhinah is called also Imatata, the lower mother, because it gives birth to all the world, the created worlds that we live in. And it is called Shekhinah because Shachanti Besacham. It is through Malchus of Atzilus that the divine, that godliness dwells in the worlds. And it's also called another two names. She is called Em Habanim, the mother of the children, and also called Knesset Yisrael. So we see that Malchus of Atzilus has many aspects to it. You need to learn about Malchus of Atzilus. It can take a few years. But it has different aspects to it. But here, the last two terms that the Rebbe is bringing here to Malchus of Atzilus, which is the Shekhinah, is Em Habanim, the mother of the children, and also Knesset Yisrael. Why? Because it is also the source of all the Jewish souls. Knesset Yisrael. So now the Rebbe will ask a question. This is just a review. I'm skipping a lot of details. But the Rebbe will ask, so you're saying that the Torah is coming from such a high source. Torah comes from Chochmah Datzilus, even higher than Chochmah. It's one with Or and Sof, and therefore it's way higher than Malchus. Malchus is the last sphera of Atzilus, which is the source of the created world. Atzilus is the emanated world. If this is the case, that Torah is even higher than the Shekhinah, because it's coming from the Chochmah, and Shekhinah is Malchus, how come we can receive from Torah? If we cannot receive directly from Malchus of Atzilus, it's too high. How can we receive from Torah? Torah is way higher, to the extent that it can serve as a levush to cover up the Shekhinah and to filter it so we can receive it from the Shekhinah. How come, if the Torah is so powerful that he can filter the Shekhinah without being burned by the Shekhinah? Why? Because it comes from the Chochmah of Hashem, and the Shekhinah is Malchus of Hashem. So it's way higher. How come we don't get burned away from the Torah? Torah is higher than Shekhinah. We cannot look directly in the Shekhinah. We need a levush. We need an intermediary, but Torah is higher. How can we look and receive from the Torah? And the Rebbe explained that the answer is the way the Torah came down to our world. So it's true that only something which is higher than Shekhinah can cover it up and filter it, like that's the Torah. How come we can receive the Torah, which is way higher than the Shekhinah? Is because, the Rebbe says, the Torah sheyarda b'seiser hamadregos. We learn the Torah that came down through a process of concealment, as it came down from world to world to world to world, lower and lower and lower, mimadrega lemadrega, in the ishtalshelus of worlds, until it is now invested in Dvarim Gashmim. We have 613 physical commandments to do with the physical world, and we have Torah that we learn with a physical brain and a physical logic system. And when the Torah came down through the Ishtashelus from world to world, it got in each world is becoming, Torah is becoming, goes down and, lower and lower, more levushim, more levushim, more levushim, lower and lower to each world. And with the Torah, as Torah comes down to each world and sustains each world, the Shekhinah comes with it. The Shekhinah comes down from world to world, from Atzilus with the Torah, from world to world, first to Bria. The Rebbe will explain next time, we'll learn exactly how, what's the mechanism. But basically, as the Torah goes down, we don't learn the Torah the way it is in Atzilus. We will learn the Torah the way it is in the world of Asiya. It came down through a lot of Ishtashelus of worlds. But as the Torah came down in Ishtashelus of worlds, the Shekhinah came down with it and is invested in each world. And this is the Heichal Kodesh Kodeshim in each and every world. This is the chamber of holies, spiritually, in each and every world. And this is what it says in Eitz Chaim, that the Malchus of Atzilus mitlabeshes in the Echal Kodesh Kodashim de Bria. Malchus of Atzilus is now enclosed and invested in the Kodesh HaKodashim of the lower world of Malchus, which is Bria. We have the Malchus is still a world which is one with godliness. Atzilus. But under Atzilus, there is Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya, as we learned many times. And in Asiya, there's Asiya Ruchnis and Asiya Gashmis. And these are the created worlds. Atzilus doesn't feel itself separate from godliness. The created worlds do. So the Malchus of Atzilus is now mislabeshes in the Echal of Kodesh Kodeshim of Bria, which is the Chochmah Bina Das of Bria. And this is like in the mashal, that the neshama first is mislabesh in the moichim of the person, and then from the brain to the body. This is basically where we are. And next time in Miras Hashem we'll move on to explain how it all works. But now we have few minutes left, so I cannot even, more than the calf wants to drink, the cow wants to nurse. So I have much more that I wanted to share, but we'll skip and go straight to Devar Malchus of this amazing Parshas Kisavo, and to just give a few points from the Ula words of the Rebbe. The Rebbe brings the point that our Parsha Kisavo begins with mitzvahs bikurim, the mitzvah of bikurim, and after that, the Torah from now through the rest of the parshios is talking at length about very general principles of Yiddishkeit, not specific mitzvahs, about principles of Yiddishkeit, that meaning that there is a covenant that that was done between Hashem and the Jewish people, and then we have to keep it, and shmartem et divrei bris hazot, and all these things. And these are very general instructions that the Torah is giving us in terms of understanding what is important in Yiddishkeit. So the Rebbe is asking, we need to understand the mitzvah of Bikurim, why the mitzvah of Bikurim opens this whole series of discussions of Moshe Rabbeinu regarding the main principles of Yiddishkeit and Torah and the relationship with Hashem, which is that covenant and the need to keep all the mitzvahs and the results if we don't, and so on and so forth. And this is read at the time that we're preparing for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, Yamim Noraim. We're all talking about tshuva, the general mitzvahs that are the general Yiddishkeit. But it begins with Bikurim. Bikurim, the Rebbe says, looks like a very specific, particular mitzvah, not a general mitzvah. And it's also very conditional in terms of you don't do the mitzvah of Bikurim all the time. You can only do it when you're in Eretz Israel. You can only do it at a certain time when Beis HaMikdash is Kayam. And there are all kinds of limitations, only with certain fruits, the 7 minim, and all kinds of limitations. So the Rebbe says, how come Bikurim is included here in the general principles of Yiddishkeit and the relationship between the Jewish people and Hashem? And the second question is the name of the Parsha, Savoy. To come in, the land. And actually, Chazal teach us that because of the schus of mitzvahs Bikurim, we merit to come into Eretz Israel and to settle into Eretz Israel. What is so high in this mitzvah? What is so all-inclusive in this mitzvah? What is so powerful that the Torah chooses, that Hashem chooses to present it where the main general aspects of Judaism are discussed? So the Rebbe begins by saying that the main inyan of mitzvahs Bikurim is simply, to begin with a simple idea, which is Shevach and Odah to Hashem, praise and thanking Hashem for all the Shefa that He bestows upon us. And praising Hashem and giving thanks to God is really a general foundation, a fundamental principle in Yiddishkeit and in the life of a Jew. Giving thanks. It begins in the morning when he wakes up from sleep and we say, Moide ani lefanecha, right there to begin our conversation, to begin our awareness with thanking. Shechazarta binishmasi bechemla. Rabbi Munasecha, you're so faithful. You're so loyal to your commitment. Every morning I wake up again. I'm beginning with thanking, with appreciation. V'chen betfilos hayom, our Rebbe says, during davening, Dehodos, al nisecha v'al nifleosecha, b'chol yom imanu, there's a lot of thanking throughout davening. Benching, Birkas Hamazon. Even the Ummos HaOlam, the Rebbe says, even the Goyim, they know to bench, to thank God, grace, when they eat and for the sustenance that they receive. So Yiddishkeit is saturated with thanking Hashem and giving thanks and appreciation and praising for His chasadim. Especially, the Rebbe says, this giving thanks is double important, and even more than that, the way Torah was explained by the Baal Shem Tov and further on by the Alter Rebbe, that the creation of the world and therefore what Hashem gives us is not one time, but happens ongoingly. Creation occurs each and every moment. And therefore, surely, we should thank Hashem constantly from the depth of our heart, says the Rebbe, on the constant chesed that He bestows upon us. Because He does it all the time, moment by moment by moment by moment. Give us our existence, give us our goof, give us our soul, give us our brains, give us our food, give us our lesh, give us everything we have. So that's Bechlal, a big principle of our relationship with Hashem. Giving thanks and praising. Then the Rebbe says, there's a mitzvah of Bikurim. Give me another few minutes, please. There's a mitzvah of Bikurim. The mitzvah of Bikurim is unique. Why? The Rebbe says, because the feeling of hodah, of giving thanks, to Hashem is the highest in Bikurim in comparison to other mitzvahs. So the hakaras hatodah, the gratitude to Hashem in Bikurim is more intense than in other mitzvahs. How so? The Rebbe says, the uniqueness of the mitzvah is Bikurim is that it is not done, the thanking of Hashem in this case, is not done just with the mouth of a person, bedibur, but it becomes an action, which means a Yid takes the first of the fruit, and a lot can be said about that, that represents, really the first fruit represents the first results of an ongoing work and labor that the Yid invested, the farmer. Yidden used to be all farmers. That the Yid used to invest in the tree until finally, after a whole year of working the land and nurturing the tree and growing and feeding and nurturing and cultivating and so on, finally the first fruit shows up, the first fig. The natural human urge would be to take the first fruit and right away stop it in your mouth and eat it. And instead, this is not what Rebbe said directly, this is from other times. As Hasidus brings it. This is, why is it so precious to Hashem? And we have to bring Mipri Adama. We have to bring Mipri Adama. Why Pri Adama? Adama is the lowest. But Hasidus explains it's like when a little child, or little baby has a toy that he loves. You know, everyone has their baby, their blankie, or their toy, their bunny, or their shepsel, their little lamb, or their little cow. Each one has their little kosher or the little animal that they love, you know, or the little toy, the car that he loves the most, you know. And he takes this toy, this little doll that is already ragged, but you know, it's hers, it's a best friend, this doll that she always goes to sleep with it, and she gives it to her tati, or the child gives the toy to his father because he loves him so much. Tati, here I'm giving you my beloved toy. That's the Bikurim to Hashem. That instead of eating it, we worked so hard on it, we tie a gummy around it, a gummy, and we say this is Bikurim, and then we bring it to Beis HaMikdash as Bikurim. That which we work so hard for. It represents all the labor, the fruit of the labor. The first is it's so precious to Hashem, even though, what is this toy for Hashem, for the Father? It's a ragged doll, or an old car, broken car, a toy car. So the yichud of mitzvahs bikurim, the Rebbe says, comes lemaise, that a Yid takes the first of his fruits, brings them to Beis HaMikdash and gives them to Hashem. V'inachto lifnei Havai Elokecha. And in this, a Yid expresses very clearly the recognition that everything is given us from Hashem, and be'etzem, even after it is given to us, it remains His. LaHashem ha'aretz u'mlo'ah. And to express this recognition and this gratitude, a Yid brings the first fruit of his produce of the 7 minim to Beis HaMikdash, and they become Kodesh Kodashim. They become holy. But the Rebbe says that this is the unique thing of Bikurim, is that usually, altogether, we have 3 levushim. We have thought, we have speech, and we have maaseh, we have action. So usually, we thank with the first 2. We thank with our thought, we have gratitude, we have appreciation, and we express it, thank you, we say thank you. Here, the bringing of the Bikurim to Yerushalayim and giving it before Hashem, this is a maaseh. And this is much more of an integration of Bikurim, that a person in this mitzvah includes not only his thought and his speech, but he also includes his action. Then the Rebbe continues and says that Bnei Yisrael really are defined as the Bikurim of the world. They are compared to Bikurim. Kebikura, the Pasuk says, Kebikura bete'ena bereshisa ra'isi avosechem. Hashem, who loves us so much, looks at us and says, I looked at your forefathers, and they looked to me like the first fig, the firstborn fig, when she ripes. And the mahus, the Rebbe says, of Bikurim is that they are first. They preceded all other fruits. Bikurim milashon bechor, the first one, the firstborn. And so too Yisrael. They are the first ones that kadmu labriya. They preceded and they are higher, the Rebbe says, than creation. מחשבתן של ישראל קדמה לכל דבר, say Chazal. The thought of the Jewish people preceded everything and everything else. And therefore Chazal say, כל אחד ואחד חייב לומר, בשבילי נברא העולם. Each and every one of us has to say, for me the world was created. The Rebbe says each and every Yid has to know that for him alone the world was created, as an individual. And what typifies the mitzvah of Bikurim is to bring them to Yerushalayim and to bring them before God. And the Rebbe says, so too Bnei Yisrael. They're the Bikurim of the world. Their place is in Beis HaMikdash. Our place is in Beis HaMikdash. We are the Bikurim. We belong in Beis HaMikdash. Lifnei Havai Elokecha. Because even if a Yid is found in a physical world, in a physical body, but the main metzius of a Yid is his neshama, his Kodesh Kodashim, that is always present Lifnei Hashem Elokecha. Whether it is conscious or superconscious, the Jewish soul is always standing in front of God and faces God. Because the neshama is not only facing God, but it's chelek elokam mima'al mamash. And Yisrael and Kudsha Brichu kul achad. They are all one. And therefore the Rebbe says, I have to make it short, the Rebbe says we connect this to the whole avoida of sanctifying everything we're coming in contact with and bringing it before Hashem. It represents the whole inyan of Yiddishkeit, of making this world a garden for God, a dira b'tachtonim, a home for God Himself. Both Yisrael and the Torah preceded in the world. The Rebbe spoke at length that Yisrael even preceded the Torah. And we say in the Vidui, what we say in Seder Pesach, Arami Yoved Avi. This is another unique, I'm skipping a lot, but another unique part of the mitzvah. We have a whole Seder of Vidui, which we don't have even in any other mitzvah. In the mitzvah Meiser that has a Vidui, but it's about, I bi'arti, I cleared every day Meiser from the house, and I did what you told me. But here, Arami Yoved Avi, we begin all the way from our forefathers, and how Lavan bikesh להשמיד את הכל, and then now we came down to Mitzrayim, and how Hashem rescued us from Egypt, and the whole history of the Jewish people, of Akaras HaTov. Because the whole intention of Yiddishkeit is the transformation from the darkest condition to being in the Holy of Holies, in the Holy Land. And we see that in our Parsha, Rashi brings the Perush Hayom Hazeh Hashem Elokecha Metzavcha on Tuesday. Yesterday it was in Chitas. That Hayom Hazeh Hashem Elokecha Metzavcha. This day Hashem commands you, and Rashi says Bechol Yom Yiyu Beinecha Chadashim Keilu Bo Bayom Nistavita Aleim. Every day the Yiddishkeit and mitzvahs. So the first thing the Rebbe is talking about the preciousness of our being, that everyone should understand that each one is Bikurim to Hashem. And each one is so precious. And each one is the reason, and the Rebbe emphasized it a lot, that we are not a means to everything or anything. We are the end goal. And therefore, every part of our life, every part of our biography, every part of our life experience has an absolute value, an absolute preciousness, an absolute divinity and holiness, because we are not a means to an end. We are not in order for something else. We are the goal for which the world was created. And everyone should have this right self-esteem that goes along with that. Not ego self-esteem, but to understand a holy self-esteem, to understand what we are and take full responsibility and accountability for what we are. And the second thing is this, בכל יום יהיו בעיניך חדשים, כאילו בו ביום נסתווית. As if right now we got the mitzvah, fresh. It should be always new, the mitzvah of Bikurim. From where the Rebbe asked, was given the power to Bnei Israel to do the avodah of Torah and mitzvahs every day in a fresh, new way. As if it's the first time. From where? The Rebbe says, no, from where? Because you are yourself Bikurim. You are yourself the Tachlis, as we just said. We are yourself the goal. You are one with God. And therefore, each and every prat in your daily life has an absolute value. And each and every prat has its own tachlis, fulfills its own goal. It's not in order for something else. And therefore, Hayu Be'enecha Chadashim acts like Bikurim. Bikurim means the awareness that this moment is not a preparation for the moment after. This moment is where everything is at. This moment is where everything is at. You live a life of you matter in an absolute way, says the Rebbe. Each and every part, because you are not a means to an end. Therefore, each part of your life is not a means to an end. It's the end goal. And therefore, being present to each and every moment of our life is kechadashim. That's like we are Bikurim. Our whole being is Bikurim. And that's why Yiddishkeit is like Bikurim. Every day is fresh. It's possible every day to daven as if it's the first time you stood up to daven. And so too to learn, and especially Chassidus. If you learn and review a Maimar in Chassidus or a Sikha, each time you discover new fountains. And I'm almost done, but in the same way, we understand why it's called Parshas Kisavoy. And Kisavoy means to come. There's a lot to say, I'm sorry, but we have to skip. Kisavo, please review by yourself, learn by Malchus. But Kisavo, Bia Bechlal, means to come in completely. To come into Eretz Yisrael means to become one with Eretz Yisrael. And that means also, Kisavo means that's how we approach every moment of our life. We are coming into every moment of our life fully. We are present fully. We are coming in. We are not, no moment of our life is for later. We are coming into our life fully. We live our life fully. Kisavo. Come in to every moment of your life. Live it fully. Like a Bikurim, fresh, just a new fruit. Wasn't there before. The Rebbe concludes and says that a Yid mitzad atzmo has no connection and shaychus to Galus. And his true place is lifnei hava Elokecha beveis hamikdash. And the whole reason and goal and purpose of Galus is in order to awaken Bnei Yisrael to reveal also in the physical world how they are Bikurim to Havaya. And the whole world needs to see that the Jewish people are not colonialists and are not this and are not that. and are not terrorists, and are not, they are bikurim of Havai. And Israel and Kutchabrichu Kul Achad, they are one, and the whole world will witness and see and understand it. And when kasher ze naasa, when this is done, and when we act like bikurim, and our Yiddishkeit is like bikurim, and we perceive ourselves as like bikurim, then Mimele, the Rebbe says, Galus gets annulled. And not only that, Galus doesn't end, it gets transformed to Geula. Galus itself. And since this is the case, a Yid, concludes the Rebbe, has to request a bakasha miyuchedes me'akadosh Baruch Hu, a special request, and let me add, I'm sorry, but demand maybe at this point. V'anisa v'amarta lifnei Havai Elokecha, you should say before Hashem, the Rebbe says, Ad Masai, that the Geula should come already bepoal mamash, because it has been a long time that the Geula should have come already. And since a Yid is one with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and especially in the month of Elul, that then is Ani ledoidi v'doidi li, the special intimate connection and oneness between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Bnei Israel is revealed. And the Ratzon of Hashem is the Ratzon of the Yid, and the Ratzon of the Yid is the Ratzon of Hashem. Then surely is Bekocho, is the power of every Yid, V'anita v'amarta, it's the power of every Yid to effect and to accomplish that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will annul completely the Galus right away and bring the Geula Amitis V'Ashlema. Yechi Adonenu Morenu V'Rabbeinu Melech HaMashiach L'Olam V'Ed. Ha'maaseh hu ha'ikar, and we need to be careful, especially in our time of Elul, in every machshava, dibur, maaseh, and in each and every prat in our hanhaga. Since we matter so much, we also have to be much more scrupulous and careful in our conduct. We are lifnei Havai Elokecha, in Kodesh HaKodashim, in front of God, and especially in the month of Elul, and especially in the last 12 days of Elul, from Chai Elul, this Shabbos, Yom Holedes, the two big luminaries, the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe, and also to affect other people in the Sviva, all around you, that they should do the avoida, b'shleimus, their avoida, in a perfect way, in a intentful way, in the month of Elul, and in the days of the Slichos, and of course in the month of Tishrei. And the main thing, to also participate in providing the needs of Yontif to those who are needy in all the months of Tishrei, so that they can celebrate Yamim Tovim in a comfortable way, and to request, as said, the Bakasha Miyuchedet Me'akadosh Baruch Hu in the months of Elul, Ad Masai, that the Geula should come, take Biyad Mamash now.